Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Heron Hill. I'm Sue and this is another edition of Tips on Tuesday. So today we're out in the garden because I have a gardening tip for you. We are in July now and the hot weather is upon us, and I'm sure many of you have been having exceedingly hot days into the 90s and some into the hundreds. We've hit 90s a few times already. And this means that it's a stressor for a lot of our plants, particularly the moisture content of our soil. The plants require a lot of moisture in which to draw up the nutrients that they need for growing and producing the fruit. So this tip for Tuesday is going to focus on moisture in your garden. And it all has to do with these. I have a plethora of milk jugs that I save all year long, some old soda bottles, and these are going to help us water in the garden. Let me show you where I'm going to need these. Here is my garden. Most of the garden, all of these beds here, I have 5 going down on this section of my garden, and also across the driveway into my main garden, I have drip irrigation that goes on and waters most of these beds. But I do have a few extra outliers here, bags here, bins here. My sweet potatoes, I have 5 on each end of my raised beds. Now in the back, I have, I call my orphan tomatoes. They are all in bags too, but they are not on my drip irrigation system. So those all have to be watered by hand. And that in and itself is a pretty big task. You see over here, I've got a couple tomato plants that I plopped. They're in bags on the ends over here. Some of those are you see some tomatoes on the back side of my raised bed. Some of these are on my drip irrigation, but some are not. So these I have to be sure to make time for watering. Watering is a huge time constraint here, especially when you have a larger garden. And plants like tomatoes need even watering. So tomatoes need even watering to prevent blossom end rot. Blossom end rot has to do with calcium and the uptake of calcium from the soil up in, the plant takes it up and uses it for the production of their fruit. And if the watering is not done consistently, if you have wet periods and dry periods alternating back and forth, the plant can't take up what it needs from the soil, and it ends in blossom end rot for a lot of the fruit of your tomatoes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fashion some reservoirs that I fill, and they will very slowly drip water into the needed beds that are not on my drip irrigation system. And this is sort of a passive way of watering. So if you want to be a lazy gardener, this is what you do. So let's get to it and I'll show you what's going on. So back to my milk jugs. And what I'm going to do is use these as a reservoir. I will poke some holes in the bottom and fill it with water. And I can do this easily from my garden hose. But what is most important is that the water drips very slowly into your plot of soil. Just as in watering it heavily with a hose, that tends to cause water runoff. And if your soil is hydrophobic, which means it is going to repel water, you want it to drip slowly so the soil then has a long time to absorb that moisture without a severe runoff of the water. So what I do, you can use anything to poke a hole in it, but I feel that the smaller the hole, the slower the drip of the water. So I'll take just like a push pin, and in this particular one, I'm going to push, let's start with 4, let's do 6. 6 tiny little holes in the bottom of this 1 gallon milk jug. Now I'll do a little experimentation here, and I am going to fill this up, and I'm going to see how long it takes for this water to drip out of the gallon. Then I'll see if maybe I need more, or in the next one I'll need less. But I like to start with a very small hole, because you can always poke more holes into this if you want it to go into your garden at a faster rate. Okay, let's do it. Okay, stopwatch, go. Okay, it has been 16 minutes and we are about halfway on this jug. Now, if you can see, the water stream has slowed down, and that's physics, because the amount of water was higher before and there was a lot more downward pressure, so it was streaming out a little bit more than it is now. But this will empty. I will wait until I get the final total and show you exactly how much emptied out, or how long it took for each one to empty out. Now, if you poke larger holes in this, it's going to stream out faster. And if you've done it by mistake and you didn't want larger holes, just put the cap on just ever so slightly, not crank it down hard, just enough to leave a little bit of pressure mounting in there to keep that drip going. But as you can see, I have put them all in my sweet potato bins here at the head of my raised beds. Some of them have 2. I'm going to go in the house and I'm going to get a few more. So each bin has 2. Now, I timed it. It takes 20 seconds to fill 1 gallon of a reservoir. So if you added all of that up, and now it's like at 16 minutes for the out dripping of it, I think I can afford 20 seconds per gallon in filling these all up, and then I can be on to doing better things in my garden, like weeding. Ugh. But that needs to be done. Or harvesting. Joy. So this is my tip for Tuesday to help you as a gardener in your watering chores that you have to do with this hot summer weather coming on, and the plants just demanding more moisture out of the soil. So give this a try if you have extra milk jugs, or even, as you can see in this one here, I put a soda bottle here. I'll put a couple in this one because it's rather large. One other thing that I used to do, I'll try and put a link from a former video here up in this corner, where I would just totally dig in the entire soda bottle with holes poked in around the sides, only in the bottom and around the sides. And I did this for my tomato plants. And it would help them have a deep watering because I would plant them deeply, and I would plant a soda bottle next to it with the lip exposed so I could just water into those, and that would do a great job of watering down deep into the roots of those tomato plants. So that is another tip that goes along with this reservoir system that I have going. So until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening and watering.